Again. Yeah, I'll be there for lunch. Yeah. They're all serious campers, you know? Yeah, I'm not like that. I'm not like that. Huh? I'm a great man. Well, I know I'm a great man. I know what I am. Oh, I didn't say I'm not good. I said, yeah, they don't mess around. They don't play. Huh? No, I know I'm a good camper. I just like to have a good time. I can't take myself so seriously.
We did do Geshen's on the elbow. Sure.
You gotta do that.
It doesn't. It doesn't like to lay flat. Oh, it's the seat. That doesn't need to be asked. Thank you. Very inappropriate. Very inappropriate. Not okay at all. Thank you, but no thank you. We're going to get started, okay? You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All righty.
Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I think your mic is very loud.
It is.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn it.
You want to turn it down? Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos. Now is a wonderful opportunity just to look around all the beautiful faces around you this evening and just welcome them. Say Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. My wife is not sitting with anyone, but she can Shabbat Shalom. You can. I know. She wanted to sit in the front row so she could be very supportive. All right. You ready to get started with the tune?
We're ready.
Melody? Nothing brings in
All
Shabbat
right.
like a melody.
A beautiful melody by Shlomo Kalbach. We need everyone singing. Are you ready? I hear Rabbi.
Yeah, la 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 la. It's because I'm sitting next to you. Okay, my best friends Dodi and Bob, if you would, come join me at the Bima for our candles and Kiddush. We begin on page 120. But Bob likes to read his own thing. That I remember. I don't know what page that's on. Bob, what page is it on?
You'll find out.
You'll find out. You'll hear it when he does it.
Yeah.
I know. You guys both like to do your own thing. I love that about you.
Thank you. On page 121,
Okay.
we can read together at the bottom of the page, O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and into our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us into acts of kindness, peace, and love. No.
Oh, okay. I didn't think so.
Right.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Well, we don't need to get into the mood, but let's get into a little better mood. If you'll join me, please, on the bottom of page 125, the bottom 8 lines together. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time. Contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat abide. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, Shabbat kodsho b'yahava b'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה מקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים, כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת, אמן. חיים. We didn't get the real stuff this week. But I'm still grateful. Yeah, I can leave it here, yeah. All right, page 128, top of the page.
It's got cup holders too.
Yes, Psalm 133. Inne matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Inne matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Inne matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Inne matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Inne matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Inne matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine, 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 matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine, 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 matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine 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 matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine, 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 matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine, 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 matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine 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 matov, hine matov. Ya la 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 la. Hine matov, hine matov. Ya la 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 la. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, hine matov. Ya la 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 la. Hine matov, hine matov. Ya la 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 la. Hine matov, hine matov.
I can do everything except for the last part. That one I can't do. Also, if you are George and you're watching our live stream, hello. I know we have a new friend tonight, and I was asked to say hello. So if you are George and only George, know that you are welcome here. Thank you. That's it. My only announcement. All right.
All right, page 130, Psalm 95, Lechune Ranana. Lechune Ranana, Lechune Ranana, Lechune Ranana Adonai. Lechune Ranana, Lechune Ranana, Lechune Ranana Adonai. Naria, Naria, Litzor Yishenu, Nikad Mafanav Betoda. Naria, Naria, Litzor Yishenu, Bismirot Naria Lo. Lekune Ranana, Lekune Ranana, Lekune Ranana Adonai. Lekune Ranana, Lekune Ranana, Lekune Ranana Adonai. Page 138, Lachadodi, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9.
Oh, I like this one.
Hay, ay, ay, Lechadodi. Ay, 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 Likrat Kala. Ay, 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 Pnei Shabbat. Ay, 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 Nikabla. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad. Ishmeanu el hameuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shemo tiferet v'letehila. Ay, 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 lechadodi. Ay, 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 likrat kalam. Ay, 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 Pnei Shabbat. Ay, 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 Nikabla. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha. Ki mikor habracha. Merosh mikedem nesucha. Sof ma'aseh b'makshava techila. Ay, 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 lechadodi. Ay, 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 likrat kala. Ay, 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 Pnei Shabbat. Ay, ay, ay. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva orech, kumi ori, uri, uri, shir daberi, kabod Adonai, alayich niglam. Ay, 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 lechadodi.
Please rise. This is
Ay, 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 likrat kala.
Welcome with both arms.
Ay, ay, ay,
Shabbat.
Pnei Shabbat. Ay, 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 Nikabla. Boi v'shalom ateret pala. Gam besimcha uvetzolam. Tok emunei am segula. Boi chalam, boi chalam.
Have a seat.
Ay, 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 lechadodi. Ay, 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 likrat kalam. Ay, 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 Pnei Shabbat. Ay, 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 nikabla. Ay, 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 lechadodi. Ay, 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 likrat kalam. ay, 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 b'nei Shabbat, ay, 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 nikabla. Page 144, the Kaddish. Yitkadav, Yitkadav, Shemei Rabba, B'yamad Ivra, Kerute, B'yamlik Malkute, B'kayekon, Yomekon, Ukayedekon, Beit Yisrael, Bagala, Bagala, Ubizmahan Karivimru.
Amen.
Yeheshmein Rabba Mevorach, Le'olam Olam Me'omayah,
Yitbarach,
Yitbarak, Vishtabak, Vitpahar, Vitroma, Vitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitalev, V'yitalal, Shemei L'Kudesham,
Rechu,
Le'ela Min Kol Berchata, B'shirata, Tushbechata B'nechemata, Tamiran B'yama V'imru, Amen.
rise for the Baruch Hu, page 146.
Lai la 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 Lai la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Ya la 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 Bareku et Adonai HaMevorach Bareku et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Vahed Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Vahed La 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 Ya la 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 Ya la la ya la 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 Ya la la ya la la la.
The bottom of page 150, Ahavat Olam, everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael. We rise for Shema, page 152.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malkato Le'olam Vaed Baruch Shem Kevod Malkato le'olam va'ed.
Bottom of 154, you may be seated. If you would, join with me, please. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohechem Emet. Dealer's choice.
Shamru.
You got it.
Okay, page 162 at the top of Shamru, Shlomo Kalbach melody. V'shameru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת וינפש.
We rise for the Amidah, page 166.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei HaKol וזוכר חסדי אבות ואמהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מקיים מתים אתה רב להושיע Mashiv haruach umorid hagashem mekakel kayim bekesed mekayem eitim berachamim rabbim somek noflim verofech olim umatir asurim umekayem emunato Lishenei Ahafad Mikamo Kabal Geburot Umito Melach Melech Meimit Umechaye V'ne'emanat halakayot metim Baruch atah Adonai Mekayei HaMeitim. Atah Kadosh v'Shimcha Kadosh v'Kadoshim b'chol yom Yehallelu Chatzela Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Because we have a shortened service this evening, we skip right along. We turn now to the Misha Berach. We're thinking this evening of Maggie Glazer, Harriet Bial, and Audrey Efros. If there are names you'd like to add to this list, please feel free to do so as either my hand or my eye meets yours, and we'll go across the room. Okay? Yes. Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay, that's the left side. We'll start in the front. Barbara. Dodie. Marilyn. Oh, okay. Sorry to hear. Yes. Uh-huh. Tammy. Okay.
And Maggie Taylor. Okay. Page 371, everybody, middle of the page. Mi sheperak avotenu mikor habraka leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi sheperach imotenu mikor habraka lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Thank you. Also, a special shout out, I know you're watching, Shaw and Richard Bullington and all of their boys, all three of them. We love you, I love you, and here's your special shout out. Okay, no more special shout outs for tonight. That's it. There's only two. Bob, if you would like to come up and tell us what's going on this evening. Who is our speaker? Bob's going to tell us. Hopefully you have answers.
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody who is out there, and all those who are out there on streaming. We wish you a Shabbat Shalom also on this glorious, wonderful day of secrecy. I should have made book on this one because we had a lot of names tossed out. But Shabbat Shalom, and I just wondered as I see this crowd here today, whether or not you're here because of that wonderful cocktail hour or you're here because of the speaker. I'm not going to try to look for that answer. But here we are again. This is year number 20 for the Bethel Scholar Program. We have had 17 different scholars, starting with Ron Miller, who was here 4 times. So 20 years, 17 different scholars. So besides Cantor Manny, Richie, Dodie, Alan Tufts, who else has been here for all of them? Well, we did have one. You? Been here for all of them. And that is Walter Dorfman, who called and said he couldn't make it tonight because his wife is undergoing some simple minor surgery and they just didn't want to get out of the house. So we hope you're on streaming with us. The subject covered that we had here started with Yoshahawa ben Yosef with Ron Miller. And then it moved on to the value of Jewish archives with Rabbi Gary Zola. And then we had Rabbi Herman Schalman, who gave us the rabbinic view of the Shoah. We all heard his heart-wrenching pitch on what he felt as a rabbi about calling the Shoah and not the Holocaust. Capers Funny, Rabbi, gave us the Jews of Africa, and Martin Goldsmith took us on a voyage of the SS St. Louis. We jostled with Rabbi Stoller and intermarriage, and Bill Cutter identified Jewish issues of 2018. Rabbi Luxemburg spoke on the state of reform in Israel and the U.S. Our river runs deep, and I hope that it will continue to run as deep and as clean, because this was made possible because of your support by voting with your feet and being here tonight. Tonight we dive into the relevance and meaning of 613. Maybe the number 10 is more familiar, but take the number 613. A 6 plus 1 equals plus 3, 10. Here we have 10. Well, think about that. Deuteronomy 5 has a little bit more to say about number 10, and you can look that up, and I'm sure many of you know what I'm talking about. Check it out. Congregation BJE, my temple up in Chicago, had redid their sanctuary, and they have 613 seats in the sanctuary. And so our scholar. Well, Rabbi Arnold Jacob Wolf, an American Reform rabbi with a degree from the University of Chicago and HUC Cincinnati, and worked with Abraham Joshua Heschel, marching in Selma, was teaching Torah. And he taught Torah as teaching justice. He founded Temple Solel in Highland Park, Illinois, and he used the metaphor while he was teaching Torah as follows. When born, one embarks on the road of life, encountering 613 packages and jewels along the way of life. Some are meaningful and some are irrelevant. The choice is yours, which to pick up and keep with you on your road of life, and which to ignore. The bad news is that Rabbi Wolf passed away in 2008 and can't be with us. Our scholar this evening will greatly fill his shoes and go beyond the shoes of Rabbi Wolf. After clearing many hurdles, including his availability, air schedules, passports, visas, and even security, we did connect. He may be, or she, sitting right next to you. Is there a person you don't know? As usual, there will be no questions from the Bima. You'll catch the scholar on the oneg. So, Richie, would you help me to bring the scholar up to the Bima? Would the scholar come up, please?
Hello, I'm your scholar. Hold on. Okay. It's like you don't even know who I am. Scholars don't usually wear talitot. I hope you aren't disappointed. Bob was really intent on keeping this very secret if you've talked to him. But it is my pleasure. Wow, it is warm here in Florida, huh? Oh, what a schlep to get here, but I did make it, and it is lovely. Hi, Rabbi Aaron Sataloff. It is lovely to see you folks this evening. What an amazing congregation this rabbi has. I'm so happy to speak at it. Okay. I did write something. Okay. I know, quite hilarious. Recently, I have been plagued by a particular question that was posed to me by a fellow colleague. The question was a simple one. What does spirituality mean to me? The question had been bombing in my mind for quite some time, and I came to the answer in a dream, not consciously, but subconsciously. In this dream, I was lost, as I am in many of my dreams. I remember being on a bicycle, lost through a dark forest. Trees hung over me as I went on a winding, cemented path. I would regularly open my phone and go to the app I use more than any other in South Florida, Google Maps, because I really don't know where I'm going without it. But as it is in most of my dreams, the app just doesn't seem to work. I can't find where I wanted to go, which in this case was my parents' house. I guess Dream Aaron was staying there. So I was shuffling along this path. I found myself in a small shop full of what I can only describe as tchotchkes. I remember the lighting was dark ruby red with a tint of yellow. The shop was small, almost the size of a one-car garage. Pulling my bike in, I noticed 3 women sitting on stools. In my dream, these women are friendly, and I am cheeky and playful with them. I figured they might meet me with a pleasant countenance if I smiled and looked nice, which they did. But here's the significant piece of what the dream meant. I was honest with them. I told these women that I was lost. I couldn't find my way. I shared with them that I didn't know where I was. I was vulnerable with them. Immediately, one of the women got up and explained that she would take me to where I needed to go. And before I knew it, I was standing in front of my parents' house. They came out and greeted me. This never happens in my dreams. Usually when I'm lost, I stay lost. But that evening I woke up, and I couldn't put my finger on it. But I sensed this was the answer to my question of spirituality. These figures were a form of guidance, which is in a sense what the topic is this evening. My topic this evening is quite simple but also dense. As I spoke with Bob, who offered me the gig of being your scholar in residence this evening. Now, I've never held the title of scholar before, considering my GPA was always below a 3.0, but don't tell anyone. But Bob gave me my thesis, nevertheless. He had a note card on it, and I took a picture on it, and he wrote the following: 613 commandments, ? Reality, fantasy, a foundation. Arnold Jacob Wolf. I begin with the discussion about spirituality, because if we're talking about mitzvot, our connection to them is undoubtedly something more significant than the ideals of rationality. As I've explained to others repeatedly, kashrut and other mitzvot, they don't necessarily have physiological benefit. It's not that eating milk and meat together changes our biological makeup, increases serotonin, or fosters a better digestive tract. Okay, I'm not a doctor, and I'm sure some articles would prove otherwise. But for now, this is to say, our reliance on mitzvot are spiritual in nature. The definition of mitzvot is as follows: a command, precept, religious act, meritorious deed, but also a command concerning that of man, of God, and of divine wisdom. While it certainly can have real-life manifestations in the social justice work and so forth we do, there is still a bold reality that there's more to it than that. There's something deeper brewing below the surface, something guiding us towards a deeper meaning of life itself that doesn't appear readily on the surface. It's why mitzvot, specifically the 10 Commandments, are included in our prayers each day. The Mishnah Tamid 5:1 informs us the recitation of these words was once a central element of the daily morning service in ancient temple. The idea that I am expressing is that mitzvot are vehicles of spirituality. Vehicles are ways to tap into the notion of what we consider God, ways of interacting with the world beyond the functions and chores of every mundane tasks, just like prayer is intended to do. Mitzvot simply are guides. They are tour guides, to a meaningful life and helpful gods when we feel lost, which we do many a time, get lost. And during these times of great sorrow, even times when we are mourning, we look to fill our days with actions that help us grieve and find solid ground. We look to put ourselves to work with something meaningful that might make a difference in our current frame of mind, of which they do. When all feels lost, we can count on mitzvot as having merit, the extent of which we may never know. Only God above knows. But at least for us, it provides meaningful action-oriented tasks. And with each one, we steadily pull ourselves from the pit we may find ourselves in like a rope to safety. Not necessarily a road to a life of orthodoxy, as some would interpret, but at least a route to somewhere, as opposed to spinning our wheels and going absolutely nowhere. However, the notion of commandment is tied up with a significant humanistic factor, that of humility. I often like to remind myself, what the heck do I know? Spirituality is the idea that we don't know. Therefore, guidance through life is something we need a sense of. It's what it means to flourish and progress as a human. But guidance can only help us if we are willing to take it. Or to put in the words of Alanis Morissette, it's the good advice you just didn't take. And who would have thought it figures? Really, what do we know about the world? Some of us have lived upwards of 100, maybe more years. But what stands against the Torah, a 3,000-year-old document? Is it possible that the spiritual world was conveyed through Torah? Is it possible that there's more to life instead of spending time at Target and buying things online? Or the words embedded in the scrolls behind me? Maybe they do have power beyond our own devices. The real question becomes, folks, what do we do with our lives? How do we imbue each day with meaning of some kind? Moreover, what actions will we eventually take? What will we stray from? But also, what happens when all goes kaput? Who are we when the bottom falls out? When our lives are in disarray and there doesn't seem to be an order to anything at all? Who are we then? And what can we do to get back on track? These enduring questions won't be answered tonight, but will help keep us entertained by the idea that maybe, just maybe, mitzvot have something to offer us, even as secular Jews. Tonight I plan to explain this idea as Bob laid out. Mitzvot as a foundation, mitzvot as our present reality, but also at the end, a little bit of fantasy. Now, as any good scholar would do, I want to begin with a quote from another good scholar who knew much more than I did. And since Bob wrote down the name of Rabbi Wolf, let's begin with his own sentiment on the topic. An excellent place to start, since that's probably where Bob got this whole idea to begin with. So let's start with his words. I try to walk the road of Judaism. Embedded in that road, there are many jewels of mitzvot, as Bob said. One is marked Sabbath, and one civil rights, and one kashrut, and one honor your parents, and one you shall be holy. There are at least 613 of them, and they are different shapes, sizes, and weights. Some are light and easy for me to pick up, and I pick them up. Some are too deeply embedded for me so far, though I get a little stronger by trying to extricate the jewels as I walk the street. Some I may never be able to pick up. I believe that God expects me to keep on walking Judaism street and to carry away whatever I can of its commandments. I do not believe that God expects me to lift what I cannot, nor may I condemn my fellow Jew who may not be able to pick up even as much as I can. Concerning this quote, it's helpful to provide context and the rabbinic understanding that mitzvot can be found in forms of heaviness and lightness. Rabbi Wolf is speaking about something our rabbis have addressed for hundreds of years. They say, of the Torah's fundamental belief, is that if a person will do one of the 603 mitzvot properly, as it should be done, in addition, they do not intend in any way an ulterior motive along with this performance. Rather, the mitzvah is done for its own sake, out of love. It is to this belief that Rabbi Chania spoke. Since there are many mitzvot, it is simply inconceivable that a person would not do even one of them to perfection. Though that one mitzvah that was done perfectly, their soul finds its life source. We are also taught in Pirkei Avot the following: and be careful with the light command, as with the grave one, for you do not know the reward for the fulfillment of the commandments. According to the rabbis, the meaning of this is as follows: since God gave all the commandments of the Torah with infinite wisdom, human beings whose wisdom is finite do not have the ability to fully evaluate the significance of each mitzvah. A mitzvah that seems light to us may be very serious in the eyes of God. A mitzvah that seems highly important to us may be much less significant in the eyes of God. Take a wedding for an example. I explained to each couple that they are wed actually not once, but 3 times. Once in the eyes of the law, once in the eyes of Jewish law, and once in the eyes of those they love and care about the most, under the chuppah. Each of these retains a sense of lawfulness, but each is different. Trust me, a couple, while happy I perform the rites of the prayers, would be exceptionally unhappy if I decided not to send in their marriage license to court. Each of these are important factors, but seen and perceived differently by different people and different avenues. So let's work with this idea of mitzvot as a foundation of a spiritual life with God. After all, this is what the rabbis believe. Let's begin with the simple phrase we get repeated time and time and again. The introduction to prayers and blessings. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who endowed us or hallows us with holiness through your mitzvot, which you have commanded us. On Friday night, for example, like tonight, we are made holy through the action of lahadlik ner shel Shabbat, through the action of lighting Shabbat candles, which is part of a more prominent commandment, to remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. As Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel explains, just as creation began with the word, "Let there be light," so does the celebration of creation begin with the kindling of lights. But the more important part here is that we can access holiness through this commanding and participation in the mitzvot. The word hallow, I don't like it, is a word that gets missed or overlooked in our current siddur. It really is God who hallows us with mitzvot, meaning that God who sets us apart, another synonym, God who respects us greatly, God who devotes, God who dedicates, and God who consecrates us through the commandments. It is in this sense we achieve holiness through something as simple as lighting candles. As Rav Huna said, one who is accustomed to kindle lights on Shabbat and Chanukah will be rewarded and have children who are Torah scholars, who will disseminate the light of Torah. As explained by Miriam Bieber in her article, The Jewish Review, as is true with other mitzvot, the physical and spiritual motivations are deeply intertwined. The physical aspects of a mitzvah reflects its spiritual dimensions as well. Just as through lighting a candle, a physical space becomes illuminated, so too by doing a mitzvah, a spiritual light is created and illuminates the Jew. Once a person's spiritual path has been illuminated, the individual will be able to proceed with greater clarity and direction. Through mitzvot, we align ourselves closer with God and our spiritual growth and personal guidance. In some ways, I love what we do in our reality that reflects what is happening underneath the surface. Kindling light bringing in Shabbat with song and making Kiddush an act of sanctification, brings us something more significant than the work week, something that nourishes a deeper part of our hearts, souls, and minds. That's also when we light, we gather the light and we bring it to our faces. In this way, we incorporate that light, breathing it in the depths of our being. As Nachman Sternholtz of Nimerov explains, the term mitzvah can connote relationship to society, as in tzavta, and connection. Because through each mitzvah of the Torah, one connects, ties, and performs bonds between the lights of the divine glow to the consciousness. In this way, one becomes tied to God. But we can take this one step further. Just as a mitzvah gives us something, a mitzvah can also be used to purify, in a sense, to cleanse, or to help us tackle an area of difficulty of our own personality or behavioral challenges. As expressed by one of the medieval founders of the Musar movement, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, one of my favorites. The purpose of each commandment is either to allow humans to earn and incorporate in themselves a particular level of true excellence, or to remove an area of deficiency and darkness. The nature and details of each individual commandment, however, are based in all the aspects of human beings' true nature and character. Human beings serve God by observing all God's commandments, and the root purpose of the service is to make human beings always conscious of God and to turn them in God's direction. The guiding principle is that humans must realize that God created them only so that they could have the opportunity to draw themselves close to his Creator. As the Rambam duly explains, the benefit from the commandment is not derived by the Holy One himself, exalted be he. Rather, the advantage is to human beings themselves, to withhold from themselves physical harm or some evil belief or unseemly trait of character. It is this that the commandments were given, for the purpose of refining us, that they may become like refined silver. For those who refine silver do not act without purpose. So also the commandments eliminate from our hearts all evil belief and are given in order to inform us of the truth and to recall it always. Now, we're going to go backwards for a moment as I finish up. I can't believe it's almost at the end. I've loved this so much. Let's go backwards for a moment. A time when commandment meant something else and implied something else entirely, which involves some distance from our Torah, and maybe a touch of fantasy or fiction, the last piece, the last segment. It involves returning to a time when secular thought was of the utmost importance, a time when prayer shawls and head coverings were forbidden in synagogues, a time when the mystical roots of Judaism I've just expressed were simply thrown out due to the progressive nature of what it was or what a Jew was supposed to be in the modern era. Well, I have posed a connection between commandment and spirituality as designated by the rabbis of almost every single era. The origins of Reform Judaism, however, were not so pleased with the teachings of the past and saw a different way forward. As such, they declared in 1885 in their Declaration of Principles, known as the Pittsburgh Platform, "We hold that all such Mosaic and rabbinical laws as regulate diet, priestly purity, and dress originated in ages and under the influence of ideas entirely foreign to our present mental and spiritual state. They failed to impress the modern Jew with the spirit of priestly holiness. Their observance in our days is apt rather to obstruct than to further modern spiritual elevation." There was one man in particular who led this way of thinking and encouraged others to do the same. His name was Isaac Mayer Wise. Rabbi Wise was America's outstanding Jew and leading rabbi during the 19th century. In 1873, delegates from 34 Reform congregations met in Cincinnati and organized the Union of American Hebrew Congregations. 2 years later, in July of 1875, the Union established the Hebrew Union College. It's my alma mater. The first Jewish seminary in the United States. Wise became its president and teacher. Wise was also an organizer and mover in the establishment of the Central Conference of American Rabbis. In 1889, elected its president, he served until he died. This conference adopted the Union prayer book that would be used by all Reform congregations. Now, although Wise received in his native Bohemia a good grounding in the traditional Jewish sources, he was largely self-educated in the more modern Jewish thought and the general culture of his day. Wise wished to establish what he called Minhag America, a uniform ritual for all American Jews. Wise first left for America, serving at first as a rabbi to an Orthodox synagogue in Albany, New York. He attempted to introduce certain reforms contrary to the wishes of the congregation, including a mixed choir, confirmation, and German and English hymns. Such was the opposition to Wise's reforms that the president of the congregation came to blows with him on Yom Kippur. Sharon, I hope that is not our case. What I want to read for you is something that will most likely make your jaw drop on the floor, but it challenges the notion of commandments very seriously. Given that we are a Reform congregation, it is essential to know that we have struggled and jested with tradition. I am pleased to present the 10 Commandments written and declared by Isaac Mayer Wise himself. A comedic relief is associated with what I will share with you, but that is precisely the point. Wise made it his personal goal to challenge and make light of what others took seriously, and sometimes too seriously. The 10 Commandments that were approved, promulgated amidst thunder and lightning at the Pittsburgh Rabbinical Conference. Number 1, I am Isaac Mayer Wise, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, and out of faithful servants to God. 2, you shall have no other popes before me. Wise is referred to here as the circumcised pope in order to differentiate him from the uncircumcised one in Rome. Do not bow down or honor them, because I am Isaac Mayer Wise, a jealous rabbi, visiting the sins of preachers on congregations for my enemies through editorials in my 2 newspapers, and bestowing kindness and truth on those who love me and observe my commandments. Number 3, do not take the Western Pope's name in vain. The father in Rome is the Eastern Pope, in contrast to Wise, who is called the Western Pope. Remember Sunday and keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but Sunday will be the Jewish Sabbath for the inhabitants of the land. For on this day all commerce will be forgotten, and you will earn no money for yourself, your son or your daughter, or the Gentile in your midst. It says in the Torah, for in 6 days the Lord made heaven on earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and God rested on the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. Asterisk. Nonetheless, business is business. And even if God rested on the 7th day, it is incumbent upon us to sanctify Sunday in its stead as to not burden the community. Number 5, honor the seminary in Cincinnati. We just closed it. Strengthen and encourage it according to your ability, so that the radical reformers will live long on the earth, which God has given you. Number 6, do not eat kosher food. Number 7, do not observe Passover. Number 8, do not afflict your soul by fasting on the Day of Atonement. Number 9, do not remember the covenant of Abraham, circumcision. And number 10, do not pray in Hebrew. Do not befriend those who denounce Reform Judaism. That one especially still. And the entire people perceived the thunder and lightning and the sound of the Reform shofar and the incendiary official declarations of the newspapers. And when the people saw They were shaken and they kept their distance. That was fun. Okay, let's come back full circle. The mitzvot that we have come to understand in many terms. As Bob noted, even your options as for Isaac Mayer Wise included fantasy and a little bit of fiction. But here, we also remember foundation. Let us not forget. Mitzvot, in a real sense, are God's gift to the Jewish people. They help delineate a path when we must figure out what foot to put forward in front of the other. In a simple sense, they are our guideposts that we share with our children, the ones we are proud of and give us pride in our religious endeavors, no matter the size or weight. They're the values that we hold dear, but most importantly, they're how we transcend above the mundane. Mitzvot are our connection to God, and doing them, as we often say, lengthens our days. In a sense, it's not that we have a longer lifespan performing the actions outlined in the Torahs behind me. It's that we live a fuller life, more plentiful life. In a sense, it's how time passes in a different rate when we're engaged in something that we love. Time stops momentarily and allows us to take in the joy and the breath of life, as do our mitzvot. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I will see everyone tomorrow morning. I have a wonderful study planned, and we will dive further in. I will happily answer all questions about mitzvot tomorrow, and that's it. Thank you for having me. What do we do now? All right. Hold on. I'm going to be Rabbi again. Okay, I'm back.
Okay. 586.
We rise for the Aleinu.
Okay, 1 second. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teitnu l'aliotze b'reishit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chalkenu kahem, v'gar aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anaknu korim, ומשתקמים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. נאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו echad.
Please, we stay standing as we turn to page 598. We also remember and take to heart those in Shloshim, Arthur Potash, Jean Berman. Also want to make a special commemorative moment that today is International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And we take to heart and to mind the 6 million who perished, and we sit alongside those who also stand in synagogues just like ours, but all over the world today as we recall and as we remember at this difficult time in the Jewish life, the 6 million who perished. We also take to heart and to mind those whose anniversaries and yard sites we recall and remember today, those who are no longer here with us physically, but who are always here with us in our spiritual, in our hearts, in our minds, and in our souls. We remember Morris Bickey, Isaac Bloom, Morris Breitkopf, Janet Cowan, Jerome Efros, Albert Eisenberg, Helen Eisenman, Anna Epstein, Bertha Fass, Betty Gockman, Henry Gottfried, Robert Gold, Morris Harrison, Carl Harwin, Milton Jacobs, Pauline Kaufman, Harold Koppelson, Lisa Licht, Vicente Leon, Jack Leventhal, Martin Lewis, Charles Lieblich, Vivian Lovenworth, Larry Mayman, Joseph Margolis, Joseph Milikin, Phyllis Metzger, Sam Mintz, Carl Mintz, Wolf Nichols, Irving Pickett, Seymour Plasner, Sherwin Pohl, Philip Raffi, Jerry Raymond, Gertrude Rosenfeld, Rudolph Rosenfeld, Jerome Schwartz, Joseph Shaw, Libby Silver, Francis Simons, Sidney Stein, Ruth Sternfels, Harry Stoller, Joseph Tolkien, Edna Warren, Helen Watt, Dorothy Weinfeld, Charles Wolfe, and Golda Zaro. Their names you'd like to add to this list, please feel free to do so as my hand or eye meets yours. We'll start in the front. Yes, ma'am? Okay. Yes, sir. Okay. Rudy? Yes, sir. Nobody. Okay. Manny? All right. Page 598. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah be'alma divrach churtei v'yamlich malchutei b'chai chon v'yomei chon u'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulmei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalao shemei dekudesha berechu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Dush b'chata v'nechemata, Damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu ve'kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may all of their memories be for us as an eternal blessing. You may be seated. Sharon, announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We have a really nice crowd tonight. And I just want to take a minute. I want to say thank you for being here, of course, but also thank you, I should have said this a long time ago, for your patience and your kindness toward me as I schlep along while working to get back on my feet. I do appreciate it. Shabbat Shalom again. Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Cantor. Thank you, Richie. It was a beautiful service. I'm not sure who's upstairs tonight, but whether it is David or it is Josh, I am sure the folks are home. Josh? Well, thank you, Josh, because I looked and the folks at home are getting a good look at what we're doing tonight. I also want to thank Rabbi a second time for the wonderful job you did as our mystery scholar in residence. Thank you, Dodie. Thank you, Bob, for providing our scholar in residence as you do every year. And also thank you for sponsoring the happy hour and the oneg tonight. Thank you to Carol and Sam Edelman for doing the labor, providing us such a delicious and happy hour. And thank you, Barbara Samuels, as well, for pitching in and helping them to create the beautiful spread that we had. The flowers tonight are provided by Sisterhood. I want to make a quick mention that our first monthly meeting, our Sisterhood meeting last night, was really very, very nice. Thank you to the women who came out to help us to get the ball rolling. We're off to a good start. Our next Sisterhood meeting will be Thursday, February 29th. It's a leap year, folks. Tomorrow morning, as Rabbi said, at 9:30, Torah study will be here with our scholar in residence, who's no longer a mystery, followed by Shabbat morning service again here in person. Tomorrow evening at 6, Rabbi and Barb Siegel will be leading Shabbat Shirah Havdalah on the beach at Connecticut Street by the parking garage. Sunday, 9:30 in the morning, JLC. And from 1 until 6, the Hollywood Pride Street Festival. And just like last year, Temple Bethel will have a table there. Wednesday from 1 until 3, Rabbi will be in residence at K. Rico Coffee on Hollywood Boulevard. At 6, we'll have Cantor's class on Zoom. And at 6:30, the monthly Brotherhood meeting where they meet and eat meat. Thursday at 10:30, you can join Rabbi here in person for the weekly minyan. And next Friday, Shabbat services again, right here and online. Next Sunday, and we have a really busy February, next Sunday, February 4th at 10 a.m., sandwich making, wow butter and jelly sandwiches for Broward Outreach. You can do it right here at 10. Next Saturday and Sunday, February 3rd and 4th, at the rodeo grounds in Davie, Temple Bethel again will have a table at the South Florida Folk and Acoustic Musical Festival as we did last year. And this year, our own house band, Jewgrass Revival, will be performing on Sunday afternoon for anybody who would like to come. Temple Bethel does get discounted tickets. You can order those online. You can speak to Jeff. Monday, February 5th at 6:30, Women's Spirituality will be on Zoom, and their special guest speaker will be Cantor Manny. And looking ahead just a little bit more, our Artist in Residence weekend is coming with Jacob Spike Krause, February 9th through 11th. He will be here with us for our Friday night service. He will be with us Saturday morning for second Saturday Shabbat stock. And on Sunday afternoon, the only time during the weekend we are actually selling tickets, it is a benefit concert for JLC. And one last Friday, February 16th, you don't want to miss Gospel Shabbat, featuring Cantor Manny and the Jubilate Vocal Ensemble. So that's it for the calendar. Couple more things. The dog tags that I and others are wearing that say bring them home, that refers to the hostages. Temple board member Ruth Gampman is ordering directly from an Israeli company to support them, and we are selling them to support Temple Bethel. You can see Ruth after the service. One last thing I want to say is thank you to those of you who have heard me speak about our roof and made donations. We really appreciate every bit of help we get. Keep those donations coming, please. And speak to me after the service if you have any questions about that. More information is in trending as always. You can join our email list. And George, I hope you enjoyed our service tonight. I hope you're watching. Hamotzi's over there. The oneg will be in the chapel, and the gift shop will be open. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom. I want to add one thing, if I may. 5 weeks from this Sunday, we're going to have a wonderful cantorial concert here. We're going to have 8 cantors here. I don't think they've ever done this in all the years that Temple Bethel has been here. So I'm bringing in 7 friends of mine who are cantors. We'll have 8 cantors here. We're going to have a cocktail hour at 5 o'clock. So you drink up, and the more you drink, the better the concert will be. All right? But we're going to have a great concert at 6 o'clock. We're going to have opera music. We'll have show tunes. We're going to have Israeli music, Ladino, Yiddish, anything you want. So I hope everybody here comes. Mark down the date, Sunday, March 3rd, the cocktail hour at 5, concert at 6.
I also just wanted to add one thing. So on Thursdays, we meet for Minyan, and each name, I kind of have a running tab of those whose names are during the year. If you'd like to add a name to the yard site list that we say on Thursdays, of those who's passed in the year, and you'd simply just like to hand that off to me, please email Jackie and just let me know. I'm more than happy to say those names as we gather together each week for Minyan. It is no problem at all. That's it.
Okay, our final hymn tonight is page 643. 643, the second song down from the top of the page. The beautiful words of Rabbi Nachman, who lived in the early 1800s in the Ukraine. He said, Kol ha'olam kulo gesher tzar ma'od v'ha'ikar lo lefached klal, which means the entire world is but a narrow bridge. The most important thing is not to be afraid. So let's all stand and we'll sing this beautiful song. Kol haolam kulo, gesher tzar mehod, gesher tzar mehod, gesher tzar mehod. Kol haolam kulo, gesher tzar mehod, gesher tzar mehod. V'ha'ikar, v'ha'ikar, lo lefaked klal. V'ha'ikar, lo lefaked klal. V'ha'ikar, lo lefaked klal. V'ha'ikar, lo lefaked klal. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.